Thousands of years ago, the Jedi had another civil war that split the Order. They waged war on their fellow Jedi, a war that raged across the galaxy. But these fallen Jedi were cast out, defeated, and they retreated to worlds in the Outer Rim. Over time, they took on the mantle of the Lords of the Sith. But in their hearts, they never forgot the Jedi. The hatred for the Jedi Order burns in their veins like fire and echoes in their teachings. In that they are concerned only with the destruction of the Jedi. For them, it is all that matters, all that ever mattered. It is a different war these Sith wage, a thing of silence and shadow. They strike from the darkness, hiding from the face of the galaxy until all Jedi are exterminated. After all the Jedi are gone, then the galaxy is theirs, no matter whether the Sith or the Republic rules. It is the dark side that shall reign unchecked.
Now before I begin this translation, I must state what led me to this is that from the information that was used to base the character's legend of the Exorcist movie titled Beginnings, was derived from this ancient legend that has its roots that go much further than the church and its first foundations, just as the movie portrayed. Just as it says in the tales depicted here, the Apkallu, which is the origin of the deity that possesses the people in the film, were created by Enki. I thought technically this would be the Anunnaki, but close, they were derived from the same process as the Anunnaki and were actually a byproduct of reverse engineering and created for alien biological warfare. We have enjoyed peace here on Earth and free from these ancient wars that first broke out in the heavens then spread to creation. The warring angels who fought against the source of creation took on the flesh of life but not human life at first. Eventually what we call the war in the heavens, which many perceive as an interstellar war between races before the Earth formed, was only a continuation of the heavenly wars that have raged since before creation existed. Within those alien cultures that were at war with each other, the one we have discovered trace evidence of, for example 500 million years ago, involving Mars, Venus and an unknown phantom planet that was assumed to have been destroyed called Leviathan in another war close to 5 billion years ago. Within these now extinct species were the warring angels of the heavens still fighting this eternal conflict that they waged between one another. Eventually this war spilled over unavoidably onto our world briefly because they discovered that this planet was like a pet project of the Creator. At first it was just mischief, like invisible gremlins. They toyed with humanity as they tried interfering with our development, looking for ways to turn our Creator against us. Then around the time we know as the Great Flood, open war and conflict broke out between them here on Earth that went on well after the Flood and into the Egyptian era. After the chaos that led up to the crucifixion of Christ, the warring angels took their fight back into the stars, leaving remnant factions of outposts here on Earth to continue the struggle for dominance of this world while they continued their fight on other worlds and in the heavens. Occasionally they would return to this world to check on matters, sometimes housed in various vessels, so be cautious of random species that seemingly stumble onto our world. There are various reasons I went into explaining all this. I have heard that in various regions across the universe there are prisons created by sometimes both factions of the warring angels. That amidst their conflicts sometimes there are objects, weapons or even living beings that are created during these conflicts that house such immense and unstoppable power that both sides are forced to commit to a temporary truce and must combine their efforts to eliminate or subdue these byproducts of their war. This seal that keeps the bottomless pit closed, something that is connected or maintained by the site in Stonehenge and the Padwashwani Temple's sixth sealed door known as the Serpent's Door, as well as the anomalies of the Bermuda Triangle and the Devil's Seas. All these are connected together, as I theorize that the Stonehenge site and the Padwashwani temple serve not only as a seal but also like a door frame that hold this forbidden realm in place. Now following possible leads from historical accounts of the Hindu legends of the Naga and of the legends of an antediluvian legend of the Demiurge, as well as Arabic legends of the Magogites, have all led me to a Lemurian legend within the modern version of their order known as Scientology. In their culture's records there are vague details of a species of beings that were decidedly to be too dangerous to be allowed to roam free within the universe and were exiled to a planet they had somehow stabilized within the gravity well or vortex of a black hole. Descriptions of these nightmarish creatures bear similar characteristics of each one of these different cultures' legends of the Naga, the demon horde army of Tiamat in the epics of Gilgamesh, and the Ani legends of Japan. But more interestingly, the Naga legends tell of this species' possible relocation back into their place of origin, a dimension called Nagaloka, and that they left in the direction where another culture's legend pinpoints this similar species to the Naga, they call the Ani, having went into their destination located in another dimension from an island in Japan that is associated to an element not of this world that crafted a blade that can cause damage to these creatures called the Shinto dagger. The Arabic region knows them much more commonly as the jinn and have legends that tell of a day when the door to the realm of the jinn will open and they will freely be able to walk into our world again. I believe all these legends are connected and point towards whatever was locked away in this black hole was done through a wormhole possibly that passes through our world and is held in place by Stonehenge and the Padwashwani temple. It may be that whatever is locked within there is something much older than all these tales and is something tied to the beginning of this story. An ancient weapon of unstoppable force, which is what led me to what the antediluvian tales refer to as Domedon Doxamedonian or the Demiurge, or what the Jewish legends call the Leviathan. But by these Apkallu legends I believe it would be referring to what they call Apsu, and is the source of the possessions that the Exorcist movies were written off of. In the tale of The Exorcist, the sages had trapped this entity of evil within a spirit totem that had the face of the Apkallu on it as shown in the diagram here. Legends say that the 7 sages entrapped the demon and cast it into the forbidden realm and sealed the door with no way to open it, forever. But 2 of the sages had visions of the return of the evil inside and broke the rules of their order to prepare for the possibility of its return and were exiled for their transgressions. The 2 exiled sages remained here on Earth and began the secret order of the Hermetic Druids possibly as early as 6500 BC. The following legend is what I have been able to compile on this tale. Unfortunately it is partially a lie falsified by Sargon of Akkad, but within every lie there is always a portion of truth that it is built upon. Which is why I am listing it here and is why I listen to both sides of the tales. Remember my wisdom, my acolytes, and if the light fades into that eternal darkness, worry not, we shall see each other again in the halls of Amenti, where you shall know me next as Thoth. The Apkallu, Akkadian, or Abgal, Sumelan, are 7 sages, demigods who are said to have been created by the god Enki, god or deity of crafts, mischief, intelligence and creation, to establish culture and give civilization to mankind. The Apkallu served as priests of Enki and as advisors or sages to the earliest kings of Sumer before the great cataclysm and the flood. Apkallu were the legendary fishmen of the northern mountains rumored to have come here from the stars and were of the same race as the Lemurians. The Apkallu emerged from Tnotians, Apsu, the sweet waters, to live with the early human beings and teach them the arts and other aspects of civilization such as writing, law, temple and city building and agriculture. They are credited for giving mankind the moral code, the crafts and the arts, and therefore referred to at times as the craftsmen. The Apkallu are first referred to in the Ero epic by the god Marduk, who asks where are the 7 sages of the Apsu, the pure Purida fish, who just as their lord Enki, have been endowed with sublime wisdom. The 7 sages 1. Yuana, who finished the plans for heaven and earth. 2. Yuana-Dugga, who was endowed the gift of comprehensive intelligence. 3. Emamidugga, who was allotted a good fate. 4. Enkalama, who was born in a house. 5. Inbulaga, who grew up on pasture land. 6. Aninlilda, the conjurer of the city of Eridu. 7. Apsu, who ascended to heaven. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Apkallu are credited with building the walls of the city of Erech. After the flood, the god Marduk banished them back into Apsu. However, if I am correct in this, these Apkallu mentioned here in building the walls of Erech is incorrect. There was supposedly a race of the Nephilim that were lured to the city of Im, after Satan had been buried beneath the sands, and were driven to try and unbury him from his tomb. They were the ones who dug the underground cavern, but built no city. The city of Erech was the nearest civilized town from where Satan was buried, but it was well over 200 miles into the Persian desert heading towards India from Erech. Google satellite imagery says surveys of the region have discovered what they think is the lost city of Erech beneath the sands, but the long image of what they think is a massive wall that was once the ramparts of Erech is actually the walls that contain a massive labyrinth-like maze that was Satan's prison when I buried him alive. I shall leave you with this explanation that speaks of the eternal cycle of rebirths so that you know what I claim of my next life and who he will be is true. The soul is the raw life energy before it configures itself within a physical body. Its source begins within the soul stream, a fountain of pure unmolded soul energy. All sentient beings, including animals and even bugs, life force originates here. Within the astral realm it becomes fused by elemental forces, finite particles, even colors that fuse and give metaphysical aspects that eventually become emotions. When the astral form develops emotions, it begins to experience death, and the weight of emotion pulls it inexorably down towards the physical mortal world. The astral form dies as the soul incarnates into a mortal body. The body lives and dies, and upon the physical body's death the soul transitions as it detaches from the physical encasing and becomes the spirit. Once in spiritual form, the deeds of one's life and the memories of those who knew you and the emotional effect your life left upon the physical world determines how long of a lifespan one has in spiritual form. Once the energy that binds the spirit to the physical aspect of the mortal world fades and the spirit is able to let go of that which connects and holds it to the physical world, then it is able to let go of all obstacles hindering it from crossing over into the spiritual realm of the luminescence field, and a reverse sensation is experienced to that of transitioning from the astral to the physical world that has been described by many as crossing through the tunnel of light, and is the final stage of physical material decay, and the spirit then dies and crosses over into the realm of complete bliss that is without emotional turmoil or strain, or heaven basically. There all become one with the Creator, and each is repositioned according to the will of the source of all creation. Some remain in heaven, some are given tasks first that lead them back to become a part of the soul stream once again, only this time they have new attributes that increase the eternal evolution of the cycle of life, and it begins again.
children of the night. We are the denizens of the dark, cloaked in blackest shadow. We are the fallen angels, soaring through ebon skies upon ravens' wings. We are the wolves that prowl the midnight hours to prey upon the heartless. We are the descendants of the dragon's blood, the keepers of the ancient flame. We are the chosen ones, who dare to explore the mysteries of the unseen realms. We are Legion, for we are many, and united, we cannot be vanquished.